Conversation underway. We'll be taking your questions. You can, send us in your questions and comments. Then we'll be able to sample them and get the conversation underway. Now, what you do is the text. If you have a question for my guest, put it on the social media text, or you can text the number on your screen. That is 0719 666655. That's the number to send your text. Don't call, and then we're going to be able to respond to your questions. Okay, today we are talking about defending family, faith, and freedom, the CitizenGo way. And I want to give you a little bit of a background why I think this conversation is important. Now, as you know very well, we live in a highly globalized world shaped by powerful social, cultural, political, and philosophical forces that are easily transmitted from one corner of the world to the other due to the global connectivity, as you know very well. So the question is, how do we protect our important institutions such as family, faith, and freedom from, I'm calling them really clearly, evil globalists whose real intention is to recreate the world in their own image. There are people out there who really, want to have a control of the world. And my sister, Kioko, as you know very well, our families are under attack, under the threat of LGBTQ plus and abortionists in particular. Those two groups of people. Of course, the other very famous one is the cancel culture that seeks to control the fundamental freedoms of free speech. And that actually is a major threat indeed. Now, of course, I think the reason why we need to have this conversation is if we remain silent, they'll come for the church. And so that's trouble. So we have to have this conversation. All right. So welcome. But before we get underway, I'm also going to give you a very brief introduction of my guest. So let me do that, and then we get the conversation underway. My guest is Kioko, and she is the campaign director for Africa and the United Nations at CitizenGo. Very heavy responsibility. And she's and CitizenGo is an international organization with over 18 million active citizens pushing back against powerful lobby groups committed on imposing their agenda on societies across the world. So Anne holds an MBA, a BA in communication and an MA in diplomacy. I noticed that you finished that in 2022. That's wonderful. Congratulations. And Anne is also a board member of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, and a mother and a wife and other things. So you're going to be telling us. Okay. So Anne, let's dive into straight in the conversation.
Yes, please.
Let's start with, I'm sure I mentioned a few things about your career, but give us a little bit of the other things I haven't mentioned and how you got to where you are.
I really need to first correct a few things. One, I just finished my master's project, and actually my thesis was based on the effectiveness of foreign aid in the healthcare system in Africa, in Africa with a particular focus in Kenya, because I think I brought my career into my studies because I really wanted to bring out how foreign aid has an impact in Africa, and specifically in Kenya and our health system, because we see a lot of foreign aid coming in and it has a lot of conditions, and maybe I'll talk about that later. So I was born and raised by a Catholic family, and I joined a high school in Makueni in a very Catholic school. And I managed to pass, and I joined the University of Nairobi.
Right.
And that's where my pro-life activism began.
Okay.
Because once I joined the University of Nairobi, I found that there are so many clubs and societies. And there were about 10 in the university. And I selected about 4 of them. But then, by the time I was in the 3rd year and 4th year, I had only focused on one, and that is the pro-life organization. Because I thought there was a lot happening then, especially in the university setup, and it was not being spoken about. There was nobody that was being very courageous enough to speak about it, about contraception being pushed into the students, and once you wake up in your university hall, you find contraception in your under the door and all that, and also the issue of abortions in the universities, them being made like they are normal. And also there are a lot of organizations, even today in the universities, that are trying to push for abortion. They are trying to make it fashionable. They are trying to make students think that, you know, it is a right, abortion is a right. So when I was at the University of Nairobi, I realized that somebody had to speak about it. And that's when I joined the Human Life International Kenya organization, students organization. And by the time I was finished, I was the national organizing secretary.
Okay.
Once I finished the university undergraduate degree, I was employed by a bank. A bank, and I was sent to Kitui.
Right.
And I was made in charge of business development. But then, after 3 months, I found that this was not the calling that I had.
Yes.
It was quite, sorry to say, and I respect our bankers, but for me it was quite some boring job. I needed something that I was feeling that I was making an impact to the society. And that's why I came back from Kitui. I resigned. I came back to Nairobi and volunteered again as a professional this time round to the Human Life International Kenya, the Prolife professionals. And I was guiding them, and I was being useful in the secretariat, even if there was no good pay. Actually, there was no pay at all. It was just volunteering. Sometimes the professionals could just say, hey, and this is airtime, this is fair, and all that. But I was making sure that the secretariat was running, the Prolife professionals secretariat was running. Okay. And this is when I met a group called Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. In this volunteering, they were organizing a conference in Strathmore, I remember. And by then, the deputy president then was supposed to attend, the current president right now. And they needed volunteers to assist. Right. So I volunteered there. And after volunteering, I was invited to join their office as an officer, a programs officer at the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. Right. And while I was there, the programs manager who was there resigned because I think she got somewhere else to go, and that's how I became a programs manager for Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. All right. And I think my life has been only into the pro-life space, because after Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, I ran the secretariat for some time, and at some point I felt now it is time to give space to somebody else, because I had mentored enough students, and we had already grown the secretariat. I felt now it is my time to step aside and give space to some other people, and I'm glad I did that, because also it gave me the opportunity to grow. And that's when I introduced my own small organization. By then it was called African Organization for the Family, and I started organizing regional conferences on the family, World Congress on families here in Kenya, in Malawi, in Nigeria, in Uganda. And I was gathering pro-life professionals. I was gathering people who are passionate about their family here in Africa, to first to unite them, to speak as one. Second, for them to come and share experiences. Because once you share your experience and somebody also shares the experience, you are able to fellowship and empower each other. So once I started doing this, I also got speaking opportunities abroad and all that. And that's how I met CitizenGo. I met CitizenGo, and I started also signing their petitions first. I could write online petitions in their platform, and by then we never knew each other. But once I attended a conference in Budapest, in Hungary, that's when we met physically, and they were advertising an office in Africa. And I put down my application, and I was hired competitively.
No, I think that is very interesting. I think clearly, your story is amazing. Your story is really amazing, because you quit a banking job. You know, you just ran away. After 3 months, you felt this is too boring. Behind those counters, you just serve counters. Customers. You smile at them, and that's it. While actually deep in your heart, you really had this passion. Now, some of the people watching might not understand what is pro-life.
Yeah.
So I think pro-life itself is an idea, is a concept. I think a lot of people might not understand. Please break it down for us a little bit. What do you mean by pro-life?
Yes, being pro-life, actually I think everybody is born pro-life. Everybody is supposed to be pro-life, and that is what God requires of us. Being pro-life means supporting life. And the pro-life movement, because we have had now to come up with a movement, because there's a lot of attack on the human dignity, the sanctity of human life. The pro-life movement fights issues that have to do with abortion first. This is one of the most critical issues that we fight against, abortion, because it has been pushed as a population control agenda, especially in Africa. So abortion, there's issue of population control using contraception. There are other ethical issues that include and not limited to surrogacy, in vitro fertilization, cloning, anything that affects human dignity.
Okay.
And also, if you are pro-life, you're also pro-family.
Right.
They go together.
Okay.
You cannot be pro-life and you're anti-family. So pro-family, in the pro-family section, there's the attack on the definition of marriage. And it is defined first in the Bible that marriage is between a man and a woman. Also, even in our constitution of Kenya, in the Marriage Act of 2014, it says that marriage is between a man and a woman of adult of legal age.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is trying to be redefined, and there's a lot of money that is being poured to redefine what that is. There's an agenda to say that marriage is between a man and a man. Marriage is between a woman and a woman. And now there is another one that has come there that is confused. You know, not a man, not a woman. There's transgender.
All right.
So this is being pushed, and they are pushing it in our schools, especially. I remember in 2017, immediately I joined CitizenGo. This was my first petition to the Ministry of Education here in Kenya to stop them from pushing comprehensive sexuality education in our schools. And they had already pushed in 50 schools. In 50 schools. And you know what comprehensive sexuality means? It means that they are teaching our pupils, young pupils, in class 5, in grade 5 now, it's grade 5, how to change their sex from being a female to a male. You can start experimenting, you know. If you feel that you're not a boy, you can now start being a girl. You can start wearing the hair, the wig, the dresses and all that. This is what they are trying to, they have been trying to teach students, pupils that is. They also want to teach pupils that abortion is a human right, and they have a very fancy name for this: sexual health and reproductive rights.
Okay.
Very fancy name for it.
Yes.
But it's abortion and all that comes with the abortion, the package, because once you do an abortion, there's the aftercare, then you'll need contraception and all that. So they also teach that contraception is a right and you don't have to tell your parent about it.
Okay.
So this is about it. And so once you say you are pro-life, you're fighting a lot, especially about all this, and it's an agenda that is very well crafted. There are people who make a lot of money from this. There are people who have whose career, once they wake up, it is about how many abortions are going to be done in Kenya. How many abortions are going to be done in Malawi. And some people are being put in, you know, they are being monitored. Why is abortion going down in Uganda? What is your work? Why are you doing? You're going to be fired. Because for them it is a job. And they are getting money out of it. Because abortion by itself involves money. There are instruments that are used. People don't do abortions for free. Even here in Kenya.
Yes.
There's no abortion that is free. So it is a whole business.
Yes.
That involves killing of human beings.
Wonderful. Now, well, I wouldn't say it's very wonderful, but it's amazing. It's really a very sad story, and I know you're very, very passionate about this because I mean, when I started interacting with you, I was very, very impressed by this. Some of the campaigns you have done, and then again, I think, especially with CitizenGo, and I would like you to actually tell us what CitizenGo is about. I actually realized that using very simple, a very simple methodology, although it actually employs technology, that you can actually raise a petition in form of a letter, an email, sort of a letter, and you have this 50,000, 100,000, 1 million, letters, and deliver them to a member of parliament or to the Speaker of the National Assembly and say, Kenyans, this number of Kenyans, this heap of papers. I've seen you do that even in the UN, and that's, I really think that we have an amazing story here. So those of you that are following this conversation, I want you to begin to engage. If you have a question for my guest, you're going to hear amazing stories here, because Anne has been around the world. You've campaigned, you've taken on some of the big names. So I think so you basically, in summary, you're saying your area focuses pro-life means you have to fight guys dealing with comprehensive sexual education. You have to fight with people who are pushing in what we call this health,
sexual health, reproductive rights agenda.
Sexual health, reproductive, and then the rights bit was added a few years ago. I remember following that debate. So once you have those two things, then the family is in trouble.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the campaigns you have done and some of the countries you've been. I know I saw that you even have attended UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly campaigns. So tell us about some of those international campaigns.
Okay, first let me just enlighten the viewer about CitizenGo. Who is CitizenGo?
Okay.
CitizenGo is an international organization that is based in over 50 countries.
Okay.
And I mentioned rightly that we have been in Africa for since 2017. That is when we joined Africa.
Okay.
But there before, still there were petitions that were being done focusing on Africa as a region.
Okay.
And CitizenGo has modus operandi, the way of operation.
Yes.
We deal with petitions, online petitions.
Okay.
If you go to citizengo.org, it's very simple. You find so many petitions that we write, we send to our list, and once we send to our list, people sign, and once they sign, an email. Every signature sends an email to the person we are targeting. For example, if we are targeting let's say the Speaker of the National Assembly of Kenya, and we write a petition targeting him, and we send to people to sign. Every signature sends an email to his email inbox. Okay. So if we have written a petition and even 1,000 signatures, those are 1,000 emails to the Speaker. So it is enough pressure.
Yes.
So how the petitions work, they pile pressure towards the decision maker, and this decision maker is pushed into making a decision that is in our favor. Okay. So we use the grassroots people, the people who are able to use internet, and there are quite a number of those. You have seen our petitions attract quite a number of signatures, and so once they sign, they send those emails, and we are also able to follow up maybe later with printing those signatures, writing a cover letter, and going to do an offline. Maybe if it is outside Parliament, we take those signatures and we go with a group of people and we send a message that this has to be done, this has to be changed. Okay. Yeah, so that's how we work.
Yeah, I've seen you do that. I've seen you pull off some very major things. In fact, one of the things I wanted to tell our viewers is, there are many people who are in this activism space, or people who really push for agendas, and I think, Anne, you're absolutely in the forefront of being very active and very engaged in dealing and pushing back against important matters. I think I want you to speak about some of the campaigns you have done, because I think I'm one of those people that have been signing up for your campaign. So that's why I thought it's important to have you on the show, on my show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you follow this conversation, I have Anne Kioko here with me. She's the campaigner for CitizenGo in Africa. She's the director of the organization, and she does an amazing job. So please, if you have a question for her, send us your comments, ask a question, and maybe perhaps you don't understand how you can get involved. If you don't like something, you need to be able to take some action, and Anne and her organization can actually help you push a campaign and petition your member of parliament, petition the Speaker of the National Assembly petition the President of the Republic of Kenya, petition the United Nations. You can petition all these organizations. So you have a voice, and Anne is the channel through which you can get your voice heard. Absolutely amazing. And there are people here tuned in. My friend here, Nesh Nemo, is tuned in. He is saying this is the time to have this cutting board conversation. No cheers to the deviants. You know, I believe it's very, very important that we push back against some of these things. Abortion, LGBTQ, and many others. But let's go back to the specific. Yes, I know you want to speak. Yeah.
Yes, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be at the forefront.
Yes.
And we have to sacrifice ourselves. Okay, it's not really sacrifice, but I enjoy my work. I enjoy my job. I totally enjoy my job with CitizenGo. I enjoy being at the forefront and fighting the big wigs. It comes with the risks. I'll tell you about that later. But then, here in Kenya, we were able to stop a pro-abortion bill that was tabled by Senator Susan Kehika.
Okay.
Before she became a governor.
Right.
That was one of the worst bills that we had here in Kenya.
Okay.
And we raised 20,000 signatures. 20,000 signatures, and we took them to the parliament, and we took them to the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate.
Okay.
And we were invited, because this was massive, 20,000 signatures, and we went and demonstrated outside parliament. We went with people who have signed these petitions, because the people who have signed these petitions are the same people that come to demonstrate with us.
Okay.
And they send this clear message that enough is enough. We cannot have this. Because some of the things that I usually wonder when we're having this kind of bills, Senator Susan Kehika, why can't you come up with a bill on clean water? You know, people are dying because there is no clean water. Myself, I have grown up in a village. As you can see my teeth, the village has fluorine water. Even to date, piped water is still a problem in my village. So why are we not coming up with legislations to deal with such? Why are we coming up with bills that are funded? Because this bill particularly was funded by the Swedish government together with others, IPPF. I've been banned by some pro-abortion organization. They have taken me to court, so I'm not able to mention to them. But those pro-abortion organizations have funded these legislators to bring these evil bills that are going to legislate or legalize abortion here in Kenya. One of that was Senator Susan Kehika, but we stopped it. We were invited after delivering the signatures. We were invited for public hearing.
Right.
And we went and we did our memo, and we invited other people. We invited the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, KCPF, Evangelical Alliance, all those people who have signed a petition and are opposed. So, excuse me, we went and passed that before the Senate, the committee that was dealing with that, the Senate Health Committee. And after that, it was realized that this bill has been opposed, and that's how it died. Completely.
Wonderful.
Another bill, I don't know whether I still have time. Another bill is a surrogacy bill by Senator Millie Odhiambo.
Okay.
And she was trying to pass surrogacy to be legalized in Kenya. And she had not even considered the intricacies. What are the implications of surrogacy? Surrogacy has failed, even in the developed countries. They are having a lot of legal battles. The implications are too heavy even to deal with, besides it being against the human dignity. So we fought against that, and we went to parliament, and I remember Senator Millie Odhiambo having my photo on her Facebook and saying, tell this woman I'm not going to withdraw my bill. But still she withdrew. Right. Because we went and sent our very clear message with our signatures to parliament, and that's how that bill died. And today she still says, you know, CitizenGo, I'm still coming back. But still, by the grace of God, we are going to fight again. It is not a bill, it is not something that we are willing to have it passed. But still, I'm happy because there are some other people who are trying to be proactive in, that we liaise with. We have coalition partners like KCPF who are coming up with proactive legislations so that they can take it to parliament, so that we don't have always to be on the opposing side. We also have to be proactive. So that's something also that I love because CitizenGo also has this kind of partnership with so many other organizations that are pro-life.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So yeah, and I think that's very assuring that I recently attended the KCPF, Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, and I know that there is a campaign, there is a bill they want to actually to bring to the public,
yes.
Especially to lobby for the amendment, to actually push for the amendment of the Constitution. So CitizenGo is going. Are you going to use your tools, your usual tools?
Of course, we are in support, totally in support of that bill,
oh,
totally in support.
Absolutely amazing tools
yeah,
of signatures. So if we need 1 million signatures, CitizenGo is ready, and Kioko is ready.
CitizenGo as a platform is ready to make sure that we pass pro-life legislation in Kenya.
Absolutely.
The resources we have, we can also partner with other organizations, but to make sure that Kenya remains pro-life, Kenya remains pro-family, that is something that we are willing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The battle is vicious, and I have on the set one of the most, one of the most powerful and vicious fighters, pro-life contenders, and Kioko. And Kioko has done an amazing job in pushing the agenda for the family and fighting off all those who wish to injure to change the law. And in fact, the Bible, I'm reminded that the Bible says there was this king, I think King Daniel talks about those who seek to change law and order. But Ann Kioko is here. She's the one who fights off these guys. So, and that's an amazing story. We're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. I'll also be reading your comments. Please keep sending in your comments. Let's participate in this conversation, and let's hear what you have to say. If you have a question for my guest, please go ahead and ask that question, and then we can keep this conversation going. So we take a short break. Don't go away. Keep it elevate. We're coming back shortly.
The Holy Spirit years ago said, do a meeting where the presence and power of my Spirit is seen and displayed.
The 7th edition of the Move Conference 2023 is here. Join us from December 4th to 10th as we gather for a week of worship, fellowship, and the revelation of Christ.
So you cannot talk about Jesus and He doesn't manifest Himself.
Featuring dynamic and seasoned grace ministers, Pastor Maurice Gashero from JCC Thika Road.
We have been ushered into a new world, a life that is called a life in the Spirit, a life of faith.
Apostle James Mbugua from Fountain Gate Church.
There are things that are greater and better in God, more precious than bread, provision, nice clothes, and a good car.
Apostle Samuel Mulumbi.
The greatest battle of every man, the bone of a woman, is the battle for his destiny.
Reverend Tom Ocholi from Believers Walk of Faith.
We must not only know, we must believe that God loves us.
Hosted by Pastor Gooks Moffat.
The day you receive Jesus, not only were you made a son, but through that same Jesus, you gained access to your inheritance.
The venue will be Wisdom Center Church, Kiambu, Ndumberi, and on all our social media platforms.
It will be a mighty blessing you don't want to miss.
Join the move and encounter the supernatural.
Hi, my name is Catherine Kuria, pastor and author of this book, Single and Loving It, which talks about enjoying your singlehood in the Lord and also preparing yourself for marriage. This book can be read not only by single people, but pastors, mentors, or anyone guiding young people in life. You can find this book at Elevation Bookshop, Kenya Cinema, or you can place your order on Amazon or call the number on your screen to get a copy. Be blessed as you read it.
Right, welcome back. This is the Gigi Report. Today we are live here at the Elevate TV studio. We are talking about the battle, the defending family, defending faith, and defending freedom. And my guest, Ann Kioko, she is a major campaigner. She's a campaigner pro-family, pro-freedom, and I'm really so happy that you're one of those people who have this live and limp.
You see, we cannot do that without the signers. The people who sign the petitions are the people that empower.
Okay.
My office, they empower the other campaigner. Like I said, we are in over 50 countries. So without people who are signing the petitions, we are not able to move further. Because the more people sign the petition, the more we impact on decision makers, the more we influence the decision makers into standing for what is right. And that is standing for life, family, and religious freedom. And I was telling you about some battles we have fought here in Kenya. We have also fought others in the East African Legislative Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some times ago, we traveled all the way to Arusha,
mm-hmm.
and we had to take signatures as well to Arusha because they were trying to push for abortion again there.
Right.
There was an SRHR bill in Arusha.
Okay.
That is the East African Legislative Assembly.
Yes.
You see, once they see that Kenya, the parliament here has failed, now they want to go to the regional assembly.
Okay.
And so we traveled there, and we delivered, we delivered signatures there. And also we followed up because we were invited after delivering the signatures. We were invited to defend the petition.
Okay.
So we had to go all the way to Rwanda. And I was joined by a number of other pro-life champions. And we spoke, we gave the petitions, the number of people who had signed the petition, and the message that we intended. And we corrected that bill because there's no way that we are going to be having a regional legislative assembly pushing for illegal things like abortion. Abortion is illegal in Kenya. Why are you pushing for an illegal agenda in Kenya? Why are you pushing for an illegal agenda in Tanzania? Tanzania is so pro-life. Uganda the same. So that is in the East African Legislative Assembly. I also remember I traveled all the way to Nigeria,
mm-hmm.
and this is on the religious freedom issue because Nigeria has been really affected by terrorism. There's been Boko Haram.
Yes,
and
the Boko Haram issue.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
we have been having a lot of Christians massacred because they are Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And so we usually stand with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there's a girl called Leah Sharibu. To date, she's still abducted, but we did a global campaign, and I traveled all the way there to represent CitizenGo and CitizenGoers, the people who signed our petitions,
mm-hmm.
and we took a solidarity message to Leah Sharibu's mother all the way to Maiduguri. And I remember it was very risky because I had to dress in a way that they don't realize that I'm foreign and I'm not part of them. But then at the end of the day, it paid. But still, it continues to date, and we have been doing petitions to stand with them.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, there will be a president, or there will be leadership, even the global offices, the UN and the WHO, instead of pushing for abortion, I hope they can stand for these people who are suffering just because they profess Jesus.
All right.
Yeah, and also in Liberia, Namibia, Malawi, like Africa faces the same kind of a battle.
Okay.
The agenda is to make sure that Africa goes pro-death. Africa legalizes abortion. Because if you see the population of Africa,
mm-hmm.
they said it's quite high, but I don't think it's quite high because there's a map that I usually use, and I can tell you that Africa is huge, even to accommodate China, to accommodate India, to accommodate all the whole world inside Africa.
Yes.
Because the
large mass
is massive.
Yes.
We can have a lot of people, but the issue has been population. The population, you people, population. Yeah, it is growing. We need to lower the fertility rates. We need to start, regulating births, and that's why that you find the same kind of a bill that is in Kenya. It's the same kind of a bill that is in Malawi. Actually, we are laughing because we were comparing. Look at this article and look at an article in Malawi. Look at an article in a bill in Namibia. It is the same.
It is the same thing, actually. So you find a bill brought here in Parliament by some of our registrators, and we know them,
Yeah, we know them, and we want them not to be elected because actually this is another campaign issue that CitizenGo is taking. Having responsible leaders in Parliament. If somebody is pushing for pro-abortion agenda, if somebody is pushing for comprehensive sexuality education, they should not be anywhere near Parliament. And we know them, and they have been very loud, and they have been attacking us. The likes of Esther Passaris, we need to have a woman representative standing for women's rights, not for abortion, because abortion hurts women. Abortion is not pro-woman. Abortion cannot be pushed by a member of Parliament, and it is time that Nairobians woke up and sent such kind of a representative home. And even in those other countries, in those other counties in Kenya, even in other countries, if somebody is in Parliament and is pro-abortion, send them home. They are not representing you. They are representing their sponsors, and their sponsors, we know them. International Planned Parenthood Federation, the largest pro-abortion organization in America. They have been killing their own babies and using the baby parts, selling them and using them for makeup or for cosmetics. We have seen them, and they are the same people who are coming to fund these members of Parliament. Shamelessly, they take the money and they come here to fight people like us.
And by the way, they use like canned, pieces of registration. You find a registration, a piece of bill, which is exactly the same copy in Uganda, Malawi, Nigeria, wherever. It's exactly the same copy, clause by clause.
Do you know why? Because it has been funded by the same people.
Yes.
IPPF, we know those organizations. IPPF, all those organizations, the Swedish, even the governments, the German government, the Denmark, Canada, we know them, even Netherlands.
Okay.
Those are the governments who have a lot of money to kill Africans, to kill African babies, innocent babies. Instead of giving us money to do better things, like improve our roads, they want us to kill our own babies. And that is the money that they are going to give. They won't give you money to do anything else. And that's why even when they're coming like with up with treaties, with agreements, the main issue, instead of giving us money or trade agreements, these trade agreements, you will find that there's a lot of clauses on SRHR, and you're like, are we doing trade or are we doing abortion? Are we doing...
And in fact, I want us to come to a little bit of a specific, because right now, there is a very big debate going on about this EU, CP, EU, Oceania, Caribbean, no, EU, Oceania, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, League of Countries.
Yes.
So the Oceania, Africa, Caribbean and Pacific League of Countries and the EU have this existing trade. I'm explaining that to our viewers because I know, sometimes you see these terms and they don't make sense. So, and we have had a long-standing historical EU and this OACP countries. So the treaty is due for renewal. Currently, I think you guys are running a campaign because within the new bill, the new treaty, in fact, it was actually signed. And by the way, Kenyans, apparently Kenyan technocrats were in the forefront. Talk about that because I know that's a very...
I'm very, very disappointed, let me say so, with our Kenyan diplomats, especially the one in Brussels, because this person has been there. He has been in the technical team. And he went all the way to Samoa. That's where it was signed.
Yes.
Samoa is in the Caribbean, and that's where this agreement was signed. And just to bring some light into what this is, it is also called post-Cotonou agreement, because first it was signed in Cotonou.
Yeah, the first one was signed in Cotonou.
Yeah. So now this is post-Cotonou, and now they have, after signing it, now it is now Samoa agreement, because it was signed in Samoa.
Yes.
So this agreement is supposed to be a trade agreement.
Okay.
A trade agreement, and it is emanating from the EU, the European Union.
Okay.
And there's something about the EU, and you see this other, the Oceania, the Caribbean, the Africans, the Pacific, these are more like developing. They're not yet first world. So I think EU thinks that these people need money, but we have to give them conditions.
Okay.
And this is why they came up with this trade agreement. And I am very happy, because there are some countries that stood their ground, and they said, if you want to give us money, give us money. Don't give us with conditions, because a part of the conditions were enhancing SRHR rights, and this is abortion, enhancing abortion rights in the country, pushing for comprehensive sexuality education, and I just told you what comprehensive sexuality education is all about.
Yes.
And pushing for LGBT rights. LGBT means lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender rights.
Yes.
And this is illegal here in Kenya.
Yes.
I know that recently they have passed, the courts ruled that the organizations can be registered, but still it is illegal.
Yes.
And it is very illegal also in so many other countries, in Africa especially.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that countries like Uganda stood up and said, no, we are not going to sign this. Countries like Nigeria, they delayed the signing. They said that we are still studying, but basically they know why they are not signing. It is because this is an evil agreement. Let me call it evil.
And by the way, and I think one of the things we need to protest about, now I'm joined you in the protestation,
yes,
is that our Kenyan diplomats and technocrats, led by the guy in Belgium, were actually on the forefront of pushing for the signing of that bill.
Yes.
Did Kenya sign?
Kenya signed, and we are asking the president of Kenya to make sure that this is designed. Because there's still some, you can still design it. You can still say, no, we made a mistake, and say we are not signing anymore. So the president of Kenya, you need to advise the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and let it go to the diplomat in Brussels, tell him that he did wrong. Because now Kenyans are very angry. We are not going to be signed up to LGBT. We are not going to be signed up to abortion. We are not going to be signed to our children being taught comprehensive sexuality education. So please, President Ruto, recall that diplomat, because he is not representing me. He is not representing Kenyans. He is not representing any other person that I know. Because Kenyans, we know they stand against abortion. They stand against LGBT. They stand against indoctrination of their children. And this treaty is all about that. We need to cancel that. We need to stop it. And it needs to be designed. And we have done a petition.
Yes.
It's collecting signatures. And very soon we are going to be demonstrating outside the parliament. Because this message needs to be very clear. They made a mistake, and it has to be undone. And not tomorrow, it is right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I told you, Ann Kioko is a campaigner. And when she's you're so passionate, Ann. I am very, very happy about that. Now, you know, another message here. Those organizations hide behind the definition of health in the context of psychological health, recruit health facilities, fund them heavily, provide incentives. We must say no to abortion legalization. Thank God we have a remnant who are vocal against this. And you know, churches, and this is the other thing, Anne, do you think that churches really have the technical capacity to address these issues?
Well, let me first appreciate the church, because once they're called upon to speak, they speak. But then, like you said, they need a lot of advice, because there's a lot of technicalities that come with all this. Especially, for example, if it is a bill in parliament, the church needs to be advised. what clause by clause, section by section.
Yes.
If it is an agreement like the post-Cotonou one, there's some agreement now. What does it stand? Because there's a lot of, you know, euphemism of the wrong. In a plain eye, you cannot see the evil in that, because the documents are very well done. They'll never mention abortion. You'll never see abortion anywhere.
Yes.
You'll never see abortion expressly in a document.
No.
You won't see it. You'll never see LGBT mentioned anywhere, or CSE. But there are those words that are used in those documents. And unless you have the technical capability to see through that, then you are not capable of doing anything. And that's why I thank groups that have come up, like you said, KCPF, where I am also a member. I thank people like CitizenGo that come up. We have like a technical team that goes and analyzes these things, and now we are able to come up with a petition that is very simple enough for you to understand. We make it very straightforward. And we tell you who is doing wrong and who is doing this fearlessly, because CitizenGo is very fearless and we don't fear anybody. We have been taken to court. Like right now, I have like 4 court cases in Kenya. I've been taken to court, but we don't fear because we stand for what is right. So that's what I'm trying to say. The church can still utilize such kind of people, such kind of organizations, and they'll be able to be advised because they have the platform. They have the platform. The church. Because I am the church, you are the church.
Yes.
The pastor is the leader. So once we have such kind of leadership in church, we're able to, and also the advice. If they get the advice, the pastor gets the advice, the bishop gets the advice, and I see I've been in KCCB.
Yeah. Talk about your involvement with the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Yeah, I've been the KCCB family department there before. And we would sit down and advise the bishops. If there's something that is dangerous, we analyze it and we tell the bishop, this is what you have to say. And the bishops are very graceful enough. They offer a communique or a press release,
yes,
stating their position on such issues. And that is what is also happening with this other evangelical alliance and maybe NCCK, I hope so, because we need such kind of guidance and we need the church standing up very strongly. We need to address matters abortion in church. We need to say no to matters abortion in the pulpit. We need to talk about it. We don't need to avoid the issue. We need to talk about LGBT. We need to say it is wrong in the pulpit. We need to tell our followers, our congregation, it is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, during the sermon, we need to talk about it. We say it is wrong. So,
but
and
actually,
also,
Anne, maybe while that, I think some people actually fear that, for example, if I stood in the pulpit and I kind of, there's always that echo. When you are mentioning these things, you are self-censoring yourself. You think that there's some guy watching you and he's going to drag you to court or something like that. Maybe you need to allay the fear. You need to tell the bishops, you know, that look, they are not in trouble. Not yet. And in any case, you have signed up to Christianity and Christians are persecuted. So what's the big deal?
Yeah, we have to be the remnants. The church has to be. Now, everybody is looking up at the church, especially the African church.
Yes.
Because we are the ones who have been left. If you look at the United States, if you look at Europe, Asia, the population, now there's something that is, they're doing what is it called? The population has declined.
Yes.
If you go there, you'll not see a certain group of people, like the youth, because people have embraced abortion.
Birth rates have declined.
Exactly.
You know, so actually populations are actually declining overall.
Yeah, we don't need to get there. So we need the voice of the church very loud and clear. But I'm not saying they're doing bad. It's only that maybe sometimes we need this expertise help. And CitizenGo is there to help. KCPF is there to help. And other groups that are there. So in case there's technicality in a document, but I'm also sure that these churches also have their legal advisors.
Okay.
But then we need the voice more loud. We need it louder. And
you need it louder.
Yeah, don't fear censorship. Even Jesus was, had to rub the wrong shoulders because people were trying to be to conform into some very easy way of doing things. But there's a there's a way of doing things. Even if it is difficult, we have to do it.
Absolutely.
And the right thing has to be done, however difficult it is.
That's true. That's true. So I just want to acknowledge some of the comments that are coming in here. Amara Maria is saying, great, wonderful lady. She's very happy with you. I know Maria. She's a member of our church, and she's actually very, very passionate. She runs a children, children home, and she's a very passionate person. And so she says, great, wonderful lady. She's very happy for you. Kioko Tom, watching, you sis, maybe, I don't know whether that's somebody who is your relatives. And keep this keep this conversation going. We are live here on Elevate TV. We're talking about defending the family, defending faith, defending freedoms. And I think, yeah, so so some of the freedoms, I know there are many things. Let's talk about, you have been to the UN. Have you taken some of the matters to the UN? I see sometimes we've signed, I have signed something on CitizenGo that has to do with some of the issues, the UNGA, especially the famous, the United Nations General Assembly. Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, yeah, CitizenGo has recently embraced fully the United Nations, because we know United Nations has a lot of influence. They come up with agreements that are binding. They discuss, they come up with conclusions that are binding. And we are present in Geneva, we are present in even the EU, and now in New York at the United Nations General Assembly, that is UNGA. And every other year, we do a petition against the agenda that is always being pushed. And let me tell you, I always wonder, because every year there's a United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, every March. And right now we are started preparing for March, because again there will be this United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. And once I look at the agenda of the Commission on the Status of Women, I usually ask myself, is this about women or is it against women? Because all they see, all they put in those agendas, if this year is not abortion, then it is CSE. It is about LGBT. It has to be something to do with that every other year. You have to fight. Like next year now is about gender equality and all that, but they have inserted all those things, SRHR, abortion, CSC. They have to insert those clauses in the draft agreement, because what happens is that they come up with a draft agreement, which is taken to the member states to discuss, and they have to travel all the way out. They have to send their diplomats. They go and discuss, and they negotiate. They negotiate clause by clause whether it is okay or not. If some country has an issue, okay, it's usually a long 2 weeks exercise until they come into a conclusion and to an agreement, and that's when they announce that they have come to an agreement, and then they announce the last or the final document. So what we do as CitizenGo, we study the zero draft of these conclusions. We study them, we see what is wrong with them, and we make it simple as possible. We write a petition. We tell people this is what now the Commission is going to be discussing this year. And we need you and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and your diplomats that are in New York to oppose this and this and this. We need them to push matters to support family, to support our children, and to support parents, parental rights, and all that. So we are like advising. And once we collect signatures against those clauses, because maybe like this year there were like 5. Okay. So we collect enough signatures and we take them. We have our own members of staff, and thank God CitizenGo is able to facilitate that. They travel all the way to New York. They deliver the signatures with the content of the petition to diplomats. Yes. Who are representing the delegations of countries. And also we have either if it's not a bus, then we have posters, we have billboards. We have put billboards in Times Square. Times Square. We have put buses around the United Nations. And I remember some time ago that we took a bus, and it was against abortion. And it was going round the United Nations headquarters, and very angry pro-abortion women, they came and poured coffee on the bus. And then we were like, okay, the bus that has not been hurt, but anyway, to express their anger because they poured the coffee, because our bus had a very clear message: abortion is murder.
Yes.
And they are there to push for abortion. Some of them, that is what they do daily.
Okay.
So they are very angry with us. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, and can you imagine we are running out of time?
Oh, really?
It's been an amazing conversation here, and we almost 1 hour. I'm telling you, we have been here having this wonderful conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that you're following this conversation, and before we run out of time, we have less than 5 minutes. I'm telling you, before we run out of time, I really think that. We have discussed most of the things.
Yes.
I'm sure you have a real strong message. You have done it at the UN, you have done it here. There are people, young people, for example, in the university. And let's go back to the university, because that's where it begins. What do you think that can be done to kind of begin to raise a generation of people who actually can see through these masks of these pro-abortionists, anti-family people? What do you think can be done? Can we push through the university, and what are you doing about it?
Yeah, recently, just I think a couple of weeks ago, I was at the University of Nairobi, and I was speaking to first years. And one of them came wearing a T-shirt from United Nations, UNICEF, and it had a message, and he was very innocent.
Yes.
He did not know what he was advertising.
Yes.
So I had to tell him, you know what, this is what it means in a loving way.
Yes.
And but at the end of the day, he said, you know what, I'll never wear this T-shirt, because he was not aware.
Yes.
And this pro-abortion or pro-death organizations, they know where to recruit. It is the universities first.
Yes.
That is where they're going to get tomorrow's intellectuals, and they are going to make sure that they wipe out their conscience. Because if a person is already pushing for abortion, that is somebody without a conscience, because what happens in an abortion is very gross. I have watched movies, the videos of a live abortion being done. It involves cutting into parts a baby. You remove a hand, you remove another hand, you remove a leg, another leg, and then you suction the baby. I have a little baby, and I can imagine the whole thing, and it is very, very...
It is horror. It is horror.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Just to finish. So we need to start with the first years when they go to the universities, the little we can, to go there and talk to them. And then we also need to call out these pro-death organizations for what they are. Do not give them some sweet names. If this organization is pushing for abortion, call them abortionists. Don't call them this international NGO, call them an abortionist.
Yes.
Because that is what they are. So when they come to that university, you know who they are in the first place. And that's what we are doing. We are trying to do every other day with our petitions. Okay. We need to call them out. You have seen we have exposed the WHO. People now with the WHO pandemic treaty. It is very evil. They already know who the World Health Organization stands for. They stand for abortion. They are pushing for evil things, the abortion guidelines and what have you. United Nations, we have exposed them severally, what they stand for. They are pushing agreements that some are binding, that are against what we stand for family and for life. Yeah, so we need to call them out for who they are.
Absolutely.
And also push for what for what actually is a solution, because people say, what are you pushing as a solution? There's adoption. Adoption is a way of coming out of a crisis pregnancy, because people always say, what if it is a rape, what if it is a crisis pregnancy? There's always adoption as a way out. And also we need also to teach our own young people about abstinence and chastity, because once you exercise this, then you get married in the right context, then we have life and family being practiced in the right context.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, we are out of time. And thank you so very much. Thank you so much, Anne, for being here. I love your energy. I love the ideas you've shared with us, and your knowledge and technical skills. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe if you missed anything on this show, we have the whole video. You can watch again on our social media platform. So for now, that's all we had for you tonight. I'm your host, Godfrey Gichuki. This is the GG Report. As always, we bring you serious conversation, and we are blessed that you have enjoyed this conversation. So God bless you. Have a good evening. We'll see you same time, same channel, another day like this. God bless you. Bye.